What is going on, everybody? My name is Kieran Hannon and welcome to my review of the brand new surprise Eminem album, Kamikaze. Kamikaze is the 10th studio album by Detroit rapper, MC, lyricist extraordinaire, top-selling hip-hop artist of all time, Marshall Mathers, Slim Shady, Eminem. Eminem, who, despite the introduction I just gave him, needs no introduction because, as I said, he's the top-selling hip-hop artist of all time. For almost 20 years now, Eminem has been the biggest name, or if not at least one of the biggest names in hip-hop at any given time. There's absolutely zero denying the pedigree, the ability, technically, lyrically, of Eminem, his ability to stay relevant and just put out music that is at least consistently of at least some merit. Eminem's music has at least been of a quality that people are still willing to listen to it all of these years later, despite a significant drop off in, well, quality over the last couple of years. But 2017 was a bad year for Eminem. It started with his BET cypher where he dissed Donald Trump. This polarized fans, of course, and for me, I just think that a lot of the disses just didn't really land, and it's aged really poorly. A lot of the bars are straight up just cringy on this diss. And then in December, just 10 days before Christmas, Eminem drops the album Revival. Now, this album was critically, and by every single fan almost who listened to it, just hated. The backlash to this album was immeasurable. People hated Revival. And people were starting to question, was Eminem ever really all that good in the first place? Now, of course, I think since a lot of the heat has settled down from Revival, at least somewhat, people are starting to realize, okay, Eminem, he wasn't always terrible, but 2017, bad year for Eminem. So, for the most part of 2018, Eminem has basically been playing damage control and trying to kind of salvage his damaged reputation a bit. He has put on some good if not great guest verses on the new Royce the 5'9" album, as well as Nicki Minaj's Queen that dropped just a couple of weeks ago. But two decent but not great verses aren't enough to kind of, fix the reputation that was so utterly destroyed by this album. But it was fairly evident that Eminem had no plans in stopping. He's been putting on a pretty good tour by all accounts, not playing too many songs from Revival, despite playing really long sets, playing basically a greatest hits tour with some great supporting acts: Pusha T, Royce the 5'9", A Boogie with a Hoodie, and Prophets of Rage. But Eminem's desperation almost to save his image has never been more evident than last Friday at like 5 a.m. over here in Ireland, when Eminem dropped the surprise album Kamikaze. 13 brand new tracks laid out into a 45-minute project. No hype, no time to raise our expectations or even have any expectations at all. This was completely out of the blue. I didn't even hear murmurs of a brand new Eminem album. I just woke up, and before going to work that day, hey, brand new Eminem album, and I was like, ah! But what sort of Eminem are we going to see on this project? Is Eminem going to try and just be the wordsmith chopper that he has been in a lot of his features for the past, I'd say, nearly since 2013? Every song that he features on that people kind of like, everything Eminem has done that has been positive in the last few years, has basically been flexing his lyrical quality and just chopping, because ever since that Rap God verse, well, Eminem just raps way quicker now. Not that I hate quick rapping. I absolutely love Tech 9. I love people who can rap this way. It just feels like it was such a shift for Eminem. I thought maybe he would go back to kind of his older style, the stuff he was doing back in the early 2000s when he was really at his peak. His peak in popularity, of course, and probably also his peak in just actual song-making ability. And I feel like Eminem does try and take things back to basics here. in a way where we basically just get an Eminem who's pissed off at everyone, has a good reason to be pissed off at everyone, because obviously, you know, you put out a project like Revival, even though he self-admits that it wasn't a good album in parts of this track listing here. He still wants to come for people's heads when he feels like some people took criticism of it too far. And he's also just putting the rap game on blast in this album. He is taking shots at everyone. We're seeing some angry, pissed off, low-blowing, not giving a fuck Eminem. And to me, it's mostly refreshing. Straight away, I was of course excited for a surprise Eminem drop. I was also excited when I saw the back of the album, and you see that it is produced by Dr. Dre and Slim Shady. So some actual hip-hop beats, please. 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 Because one of the main criticisms for Revival was that it didn't even feel like a hip-hop album. The production from Rick Rubin was just overly reliant on rock samples and then pop verses, or... The production from Rick Rubin, I felt, was overly reliant on pop features and rock samples throughout the whole track listing, as well as Eminem's lazy bars at times and his stagnant flow. So I was happy to see Dre producing and hoping to actually hear hip-hop beats for Eminem in 2018 on his own fucking album. Let's go! So, the opening song on this album sees Eminem basically going after the state of rap in 2018. He's name-dropping people, copying people's flows, like the triplet flow that Migos made popular, and also used by someone like Lil Pump on the song Gucci Gang. Eminem actually uses that flow. He uses it to effect here because it's used sporadically enough. I will come back to Eminem copying flows later in the track listing, because it doesn't always work. But it does work on this song. Eminem is basically just straight up going for mumble rappers and basically popular rap, and the way it's become so shallow and one note. And I feel like, you know, Eminem does brag on the track listing later on about, you know, bringing us 50 Cent, and he talks about bringing some other rappers that I'm going to talk about later in the track listing, and I'm like, Eminem, you kind of contributed to the problem, because 50 Cent was part of rap becoming so shallow. I mean, he's not the sole cause of, but he definitely contributed to the current state of rap music. He specifically name drops people like Lil Xan and Lil Pump, doesn't name drop Migos, but it's very obvious he is talking about them too, especially, like I said, using that triplet flow that they popularized and really has become like almost the de facto flow of the last couple of years. I do feel like Eminem is focused though, and you feel like he's not just taking a wide shot at everyone. There's a certain group of people making a certain kind of sound, and that's what he's going after, and I can see why Eminem would be dissatisfied by that, despite me saying, you know, he did help us bring 50 Cent. I feel like he knows who he's going after and he sticks to that. He doesn't deviate too much, despite taking a shot at a lot of rappers. It's because there is so many people making the same sound. He also name drops Lil Yachty too, saying that he could get why someone would like him but not him, which is almost like a compliment in a way, but this is Eminem. We know he doesn't mean it as he's making good music and I don't like it. It's Eminem. The second track, Greatest, is a braggadocious, fast-paced banger. There is this multi-syllable rhyme scheme that Eminem is famous for, just proving why lyrically he is genuinely one of the greatest. It would be really foolish to deny it at this point. He also shouts out Kung Fu Kenny, Mr. Kendrick Lamar himself. Also, Kendrick gets a writing credit on this song because Eminem uses the line, "Revival didn't go viral. Denon and Royce tell me that I should take the high road." That is basically, the way he says it is basically the exact same way as Kendrick went. "My left stroke just went viral. Right stroke put a baby in a spiral." Back from his 2017 smash hit Humble. These two did previously work together on the 2013 track Love Game that came out in the Marshall Mathers LP 2. It's nice to see Eminem kind of give credit where credit is due, obviously. You know, it's one of the greatest of all time, giving homage to someone who is, while still relatively new to the hip-hop scene. I think Kendrick has definitely got a stake to the claim that he is the greatest of all time. Both of these people, very viable options to be the GOAT candidate. The strong production is still here on the third track, Lucky You. This track features Joyner Lucas, and Joyner, I think, really brings his A game, because I'm someone who isn't always exactly too hot on Joyner Lucas, but he fits this track down to a T. Any rapper coming onto an Eminem track should bring their A game, and I feel like it's nice that Joyner recognizes, I'm on an Eminem track, I need to bring it. Credit to Joyner Lucas. I felt like when he appeared on the Tech 9 song Sriracha with Logic a couple of years ago, Logic's verse was very phoned in, and while I wasn't exactly mad about everything Joyner was saying on that song, the lyrical content, he definitely tried his little heart out. So, I feel like Joyner's respect is definitely in the right place. His heart is in the right place, and I feel like he's got his head on his shoulders too. Joyner is basically rapping about, while he's yet to receive any awards, he is someone that people should be looking out for. He wants to win awards. He wants recognition for the talent that he thinks he possesses, whereas Eminem raps from the other perspective of he's already on the top, but people are starting to kind of forget about him, that Eminem, despite having all these awards, is almost overlooked in 2018. The song Not Alike features Royce the 5'9", who's also one half of Bad Meets Evil, obviously with Eminem. Had Eminem feature on his album earlier this year, The Book of Ryan, on the song Caterpillar, like I said. But like I said earlier in the review, Eminem does his copying a flow and style thing, where he again copies Migos' flow off this. Eminem copies their flow off the song Bad and Bougie on this track, specifically the raindrop drop top bars from that song. And I get the point is here that Eminem is he's trying to comment on a sound that he doesn't like, but by using that sound and not doing anything with it to kind of expand upon it, Eminem, you're making that sound. And it's not like on The Ringer, where it's kind of just thrown in there and it's just a little moment to the song. This is recurring. This keeps coming back up throughout this track. The beat, just like this flow, is so standard, and it feels like it's just so pedestrian and overused that I feel like Eminem is missing the point of his own criticisms here. And while M's second verse is better, he uses it to respond to Machine Gun Kelly's verse on the Tech 9 song No Reason. Now, I loved Planet when it came out, and this was actually one of my favourite songs off the album. It was one of the songs that became most popular. I thought Machine Gun Kelly, despite usually not being great, usually being a bit of a cornball, did bring a good verse. I didn't realise that it was an Eminem diss at the time, and according to Tech 9's Instagram, he didn't realise it either. But Eminem caught on it. He responded to Machine Gun Kelly, and the brave little boy Machine Gun Kelly decided to respond with his own diss, Rap Devil, which came out yesterday, as of the recording of this video. So, while I think this was kind of wasted, well, I say kind of wasted, I feel like while this verse might have felt wasted, the fact that Machine Gun Kelly responded to it, and we're probably going to get a really pissed off Eminem diss track somewhere down the pipeline. I mean, Machine Gun Kelly, he referenced Eminem's daughter. Don't stop kidding yourself. I don't want to get too distracted, but basically, I thought Machine Gun Kelly kind of brought his A game on that track. And that's not going to be enough, because you're Machine Gun Kelly, and it's Eminem you're dealing with here. And Eminem, despite all the criticisms, is still really mean and willing to say a lot of shit. I mean, I get that he's a 45-year-old man who still calls people faggots, but he could ruin you, Kelly. Eminem basically just, on this track, saying that, don't use your Tech 9 feature to drag, don't drag Tech 9 into beef you have with me. Treat Tech with more respect. And I feel, yeah, Tech 9 deserves more respect. Planet was one of the best rap albums that came out this year. That thing is full of fucking bangers. I like the track Kamikaze, which is the next track on the album, where he compares Revival to the song Fack that came out in 2005. Now anyone who knows the song Fack or remembers that song knows that it's awful, and that Eminem is definitely aware of just how awful it was, and it's almost meme status at this point. Like, M does drop some stupid lines in this song, like, oh, something's afoot, yeah, it's my dick. but I feel like it's so on the nose and it's so corny, but also feels self-aware enough that, I'll let this song pass because the beat is good enough to carry the song over when it's being really stupid. But I feel like it's kind of just endearing in a way to hear a 45-year-old man make dick jokes, because you're like, you've tried so hard for most of this album, but you can't resist. You can't resist stop making a dick joke. Ah, poor Eminem. The song Fall, though, is something I really struggle to get behind, because Eminem decides that he's going to diss Tyler the Creator and Earl Sweatshirt, which is just, I mean, why? Why are you dissing these talented people? These people are putting out better music than you, Em. And that would be one thing if Eminem didn't also brag in this song about how he inspires Logic and Hopsin. If that's what you're holding on to in 2018, if that's your claim to fame, oh, I'm Eminem and I've inspired Hopsin and Logic, despite all of the names in hip hop that Eminem could have claimed that he inspired, and he does, like with Kendrick and Big Sean and J. Cole. Obviously, he's a massive inspiration, but why are you claiming Hopsin? Are you like, yeah, this is what I'm proud of. This is I did this. I helped with this. While dissing Tyler the Creator. Ah, God. And I'm not even going to get into how a lot of the bars in this border on homophobic, because I feel like Eminem has been towing that line his whole career. I don't think Eminem's actually a homophobe. I think he'll just literally go at anyone for anything they did that he could potentially get a bar in on. No, I did actually enjoy this album as a whole. While I wasn't in love with it, I feel like Eminem took shots at everything, and he really shouldn't have. I feel like he should have been a little more kind of, controlled in his anger. I do get where Eminem is coming from with the state of hip-hop this year, and in the last couple of years, people shit on Revival. Now, I'm not defending Revival, but Eminem, maybe he feels like he was owed a bad album, but, I mean, you've put out quite a couple of them in the last couple of years. I mean, this isn't your heyday. You've put out a good album, though, in 2018, and you've gone after people that I feel like, I kind of wanted to see M go at. The wrong ones have responded, I feel like, almost. I just didn't want to see. I didn't think Machine Gun Kelly and Eminem beef would be a thing in 2018. I didn't think they'd be trading disses at each other. But that's where we are. This is the absolute silly state that is rap. This year. This is hip-hop currently. This is what we're stuck with. But honestly, I feel like Eminem put in graft. He put in work in this album, and not to say that he didn't in the last album, but the turnaround, 8 months, you've come out with a decent selection of songs, with everything kind of, brought into perspective. I can say that Kamikaze is a decent, but not great album. I'm going to give Kamikaze a 7 out of 10. So, what do you think of Kamikaze? What did you think of Revival? What do you think of all this new stupid rap beef that is going to come from this? What do you think of all the rappers that Eminem dissed? Do you think Eminem was right to diss them? Did you enjoy this album? Like I already asked. You want to comment? Just comment on anything. Anything. Let's have a discussion about music. We're all here for fun, people. So that is it. If you liked the video, like it. Disliked it, then dislike it. Constructive criticism, what do you want to see me review next? That's pretty much it.